guest is the only accountant I know who swaps spreadsheets for spin serves. He's a master of third shot drops and built a podcast empire on roasting recreational players who use Onyx balls. You know him from MLP PPA and his iconic serve that once broke the internet and maybe a few opponents' ankles too. Let's get into it. Welcome, Zane Navratil.
What an intro. I want Thomas to intro me like that every time on the Pickle Pod now.
Well, if Thomas knows how to use ChatGPT, he might be able to get that done for you next time, mate.
Stoked to be here.
Good to have you, man.
It was nice to meet you guys down at the Melbourne PPA. I liked your vibe, and I asked to come on the podcast. I wanted to come check out, see what Slam Jam podcast is all about.
That's
so
good.
Thanks for having me, boys.
You've done us a solid there by you saying that you asked to come on our podcast.
Yeah, this is true blue, honest. He approached us, and obviously on the courts we met, and you saw me diving for balls, and I think we became brothers after that.
Yeah, dude, you instantly became my best friend or my favorite player when I saw you dive for 9 balls in one game, and you were everywhere. I was like, I need to get to know this guy, Colin, and yeah, this is going to be as much me interviewing you guys as you interviewing me, all right? I know you've prepared a nice script, Adam, but prepare to be derailed.
I actually vividly remember like you on the side of our court. We were on a show court, playing in our division. And I think the pros, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are so professional that if you get like a 5-minute gap to get on court just to hit a few dinks, you do. So we were playing, you were like loitering around courts looking for one. All of a sudden, he does the Elise Jones diving. Parkour. And I literally heard you go, oh my God, look at this guy. And then I was like immediately distracted going, holy shit, there's all these pros starting to watch our court.
I made note. I was like, are pros watching us?
I know, right?
Our 4.0 division right now?
But yeah, you were impressed by my man, Coach K here.
Yeah, so Adam, the way that the story actually goes is I was looking at a different court. I feel that the like tectonic plates of the court like moving around. There's like an earthquake, and I turn over and I see that Colin's just on the ground, and then I started watching. So I didn't see the first one, but I felt it happen. And then 30 seconds later, he dove again. But instantly favorite player.
I couldn't do it without my partner. We were a yin and yang on those courts, and sometimes those dives, they paid off, and sometimes you look like an idiot, but at least you go all in for it. That's what it's about.
Pickleball needs more diving.
What were your first impressions of Australia and the pickleball scene when you did rock up?
Yeah, when I rocked up, I came in there, and I saw that it was Pickle, and my immediate reaction was fuck. But that was the best pickle roll installation I feel like we've had because it was in those squares as opposed to the actual roll. So the courts are really good. It was awesome to have it in downtown Melbourne. Love a downtown court. And I think that the organizers, with the help of PPA, did a solid job, especially given like text messages were having problems as well. This is first run at a big PPA tourney over there for Adam and the rest of that crew. I was super excited. Look, I've played a lot of tournaments here in the States since I started playing in 2014, and I was expecting to have a tournament that felt 2018, 2019, but I feel like the tournament there felt like a 2022, 2023 US tournament. Few years behind, but exceeded expectations. And look, we also still have tournaments that just aren't awesome either. Like we have some tournaments that deliver a ton, some tournaments that aren't like incredible. And basically, long-winded way of saying I was very impressed with all things pickleball in Australia, in Melbourne. Got to go to a few different facilities around as well, which has been part of something that has historically been lagging behind for you guys, but now like a few different places around Melbourne as well.
And how did you get approached? Like when they said, hey, there's opportunity to Australia, do you want to go? Was it, let me check my schedule, or were you super keen to, have you been to Australia before?
No, I'd never been to Australia before, so nobody approached me. I saw it was on the schedule, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going. I actually knew Joey from Austin, right? He was in Austin, and he was like just getting good enough to play with our group like a month before he left to go back home to Gold Coast. I think he's in Brisbane now, though.
Yeah, yep.
Is Brisbane considered the Gold Coast?
Nah.
No.
Brisbane's the capital city of the state, but yeah, we're an hour drive apart.
It'd be like Brisbane is Dallas and you're living in Austin.
Sure. I just didn't know if it was used like Pacific Coast, right? You got a bunch of different cities on the coast. They all have distinct cities. So anyway, it was good to play with him again. And then Rose is, from what I understand, an honorary Aussie, and she was great as well. But I just wanted to come check out Melbourne. Super, super glad that I did. Jenny and I had an incredible trip and definitely want to come back. Selfishly, hope that next time the PPA does it somewhere else in Australia, right? Because we explored Melbourne for 10, 12 days and felt like we got a decent feel of that. Now I want to go check out Sydney or Brisbane or Gold Coast, right?
You did play with Joey. You partnered up with him in the gender doubles in the pro, and then you also took on our honorary Aussie, I should say, Rose Van Reek. I had a lot of fun actually watching you and Joey play specifically. You played straight up, which I think is a huge honour to give Joey. You're not going to bag a side. You said, nah, mate, let's have a crack. And you were, without sounding like belittling to Joey, you were so encouraging on the court of everything he did. Like when he did something epic, you like gave him so much praise and confidence, and I can only imagine how much he enjoyed that experience. But how did you go in that experience too?
Oh, it was great. It's nice to have the hometown fans too. Halfway across the earth, we've got hometown fans cheering for Joey, and he's playing good ball. He absolutely deserved that. I think he's the best male doubles player in Australia. I think there's Mitch is up there as well. You know, I haven't played too much against Mitch. I think there's George Wall as well is playing good ball too. Him and Joey just won the tournament last weekend, didn't they? But yeah, dude, it was great. Joey plays a really good left side. So we were playing straight up until we noticed a certain pattern that was or wasn't working. On the bronze match, I played mostly left. I feel like against Tyson and Gabe, he played a lot of left, and we just took what came to us.
Joey's background, he's ex-soccer, and he's now transitioned to be a professional pickleball player. Now, when you met him in Austin, what was his level like? What was he like? Because obviously he's a fish out of water, new sport, switching over from soccer to pickleball. How did that interaction go when you first met?
So I didn't know this until the Monday after the tournament, but he posted that he actually came to one of my clinics. And it was like a 3-5 clinic. So when he showed me the picture, I remembered that. So yeah, obviously, like, he must have been pretty dog shit when he came to my clinic. No, just kidding.
We've all been. You got to start somewhere.
Wow, that's just one way of making sure nobody ever comes to one of my clinics again. Oh, you must be dog. No, but he obviously isn't the player that he was or that he is now. I started to see him around a bunch in Austin. Obviously, got a lot better from the time that he was in a clinic of mine, and yeah, started playing together just a little bit before he headed out. So I didn't know too much about his soccer background, to be honest.
You could say that your clinic propelled him to be a professional. We could use this for your marketing.
I feel like we should. I feel like we should.
Without that clinic, he'd still be 3.5.
Go from dog shit to pro in 2 hours.
Mate, I want to talk about your background. You were an accountant. Is that correct?
Yeah, out of college, I worked for Deloitte. So I was a CPA before I quit my job and started playing pro pickleball in 2020.
How good, living the dream now. So there's a bit of a difference here in Australia and America by looks. And I want to talk, not long after the Australian tournament, there was this bankruptcy filed against Proton. And we were all like, oh, geez, that's not good. The amount of product that Charles Darling was throwing out of that tournament, it's probably broken. It's broken the company. It's definitely broken
it's
the company.
reason.
And we were starting to feel a little bit of guilt, weren't we, Colin?
Yeah. We've been playing with a flamingo paddle, a flying, flaming flamingo. And there's a little story of how we got that paddle. Should you tell them?
No, I don't want to confess.
Okay, I'm going to confess. Yeah. So while Charles was giving out all that free stuff, we were in the VIP room and there were some extra paddles, and we decided that maybe we should try a flamingo. And considering we were playing, he probably didn't have the opportunity to give it to us that he wanted to. So we just went out of our way and took 2 paddles from him. Yeah. But in return, we gave him a Slam Jam shirt.
But he just doesn't know there was a trade there. He just thinks he got a shirt, but we got a 5
Yeah, but it's in good faith too. And look, now you guys are promoting the flamingo paddle. You're an icon diving all around the court with the flamingo paddle. Like, he's getting his money worth from you stealing that paddle. He needs to call you up and thank you for stealing that paddle from him.
It's getting very buttery, let's just say that. And one of the good things about playing in Australia, and for any internationals that are thinking of coming and playing here, we don't have that thing called paddle testing. We don't have the technology. So
we don't even know what that looks like.
If you're thinking, what are the reasons why I'm going to come and play down in Australia? No paddle testing. Come on down.
Light us up with those body shots.
But what's the go with things? On a serious note, like, so over in the States, you can bring a bankruptcy against someone, because over here you can't do that. Like, the individual or the company would declare bankruptcy for themselves. But over there, it's different.
That's the primary method of bankruptcy. For the most part, when you hear about a bankruptcy, they've made their own internal decision to do that. I would have to guess. I've got to imagine that there is some form of involuntary bankruptcy anywhere and everywhere, because basically what stakeholders can do, at least I'll explain what the U.S. is, if a company isn't paying people off that they owe money to, those people can get together. I believe you have to have at least 3 different creditors that are in total claiming to be owed over, I think it's over $100,000, but I could be wrong on that. Any 3 people who are owed over $100,000 can say, we think this company is bankrupt. They need to sell off their assets to pay us the money that they owe, essentially. So that's like an involuntary bankruptcy. That's like the 30-second summary of how that works in the States. I would have to imagine that if a company that you're involved in just stops paying its debts, there's got to be recourse to the shareholders, stakeholders of that company. There's got to be some way of forcing them into that bankruptcy. Now, I think that Proton has multiple options in this involuntary bankruptcy. I haven't seen any proceedings. I haven't seen anything really since that came out, but this goes away if they can prove that they don't owe this money or if they pay the people off, essentially.
I remember having a chat with Jim Kloss, actually. Michelle Escoval, who's over here playing in MLP Australia, she introduced me to Jim. And obviously with his background as a lawyer, had a chat with him and said, mate, what's the go? And he thought, oh, it's junk. It'll get thrown out straight away. It's nothing. But I was worried there because I'm like, Tom and Helena from Australia, who you recently had on the pod, they got a Proton deal. And I would say that makes up a lot of how they're going to fund their time in the US. So I'm glad that we've got to the bottom of the fact that Proton aren't essentially insolvent and they're going to keep going up and up, because they do have
people. The lawyers online are, or at least people who are saying they're lawyers online are saying like, yeah, it's probably, and then what I've heard from Charles on certain podcasts is that it's just some disgruntled employees that are pissed off. However, when you bring a suit like this, there are serious repercussions if they aren't accurate in this. Like, the people who've brought the suit face serious penalties as well. So something like this isn't just brought up because it's a couple of people that are pissed off. If they are just a couple of people who are pissed off and they go ahead and do this, it's a bad idea to do that. You don't do that unless there is some sort of a case. So I am curious to see what happens, because involuntary bankruptcies aren't typically thrown around frivolously.
Okay. Yeah. So there could be more to this to come.
I'll be protecting my paddle.
I think Charles and Proton have the money to pay this off. I don't think this is going to lead to any sort of bankruptcy whatsoever. It just, something isn't quite adding up with all this. Either the people are just making a foolish involuntary bankruptcy, or there was some legitimate money owed. Maybe it's a discrepancy over how much was owed, whatever. Like, something's going on. Sure, we'll get to the bottom of it through the court filings and whatnot.
Let's talk about MLP. So as I mentioned, MLP Australia kicked off last weekend, but this year you'll be suiting up again for the New Jersey Fives. You went this close last year. What's the vibe like heading into this season for you? I see you representing too.
Yeah, let me see that logo, the 5s.
Oh, yeah, we got it. We got the 5s.
Nice.
No, we're excited. So we feel like we're excited to have Megan Dazan as part of the team. The rest of the core group stays the same. And again, we were this close last year, and Will's only getting better as well. Just excited to be playing MLP again. It was almost like 6 months off from MLP, which is too much in my opinion.
Yeah. What are the rule changes this season? Because it seems pretty wild, and I'm interested to know what are the changes that you're not a fan of versus the ones that you might actually like.
Yeah, so I mean, I think those changes came out when I was actually in Australia in Melbourne. The main change is that we went away from rally scoring and to traditional scoring. We don't know what we're going to play to in traditional scoring. We don't quite know what the number is going to be, but it's back to traditional scoring, which I'm not a huge fan of. I like the way that MLP Australia is doing it, the traditional way of playing rally scoring to 21. I do think there is an issue with the freeze, right, where one team can score but the other team can't. And so my proposal to fix that was play rally scoring, but you still have to win on your serve. So let's say you are serving, it's 20-15. You lose the point, I score a point. It is now me serving 16, you have 20. Okay, if we do another side out, you go up to 21, but you haven't won. You still have to win the final point on your serve. However, you can accumulate points on your return, right? That way you still have the win on the serve, but you don't have the huge imbalance of only one team being able to score. So that's what I think that we should have gone to. But overall, I think the main decision was based on, from what I understand with our interview with Sabine on the podcast, the main reason for the decision was the technology surrounding betting on pickleball is all based off of traditional scoring. I don't really know what that means, but if it gets betting into the sport, I do think that is generally a good thing for the future of pro pickleball. Yeah.
Financially, it would mean a lot. I have a take on the freeze, and I'm actually a fan of the freeze in its current form. And I'll tell you why. Because I think you'd appreciate it's very hard to get people to watch pickleball. And we love sports, right? And so if you don't get an opportunity to watch your team in whatever sport they're play, you'll check the score, right? And if you see that score is an absolute blowout, I don't need to watch the replay. But if I see that the score is close, I go, I got to watch this game. So one thing the freeze does do is it gives you a score line if you miss the game that looks awfully close. Now, as a product, as an MLP product, are you going to lose more viewers who might rewatch a replay because there's going to be 11-3, 11-2, 11-1 sort of games now with what the change is? I think you might. But if the focus is now to get betting in, I see that as a great strategy to actually bring some more money into the whole sport. But if you're actually trying to still build the viewership, I reckon we're going to lose a bit of viewership. What do you think?
I generally agree. And even if you're watching live, freeze means the match is just never over. So I think the argument for going to rally scoring was because it would support the betting. And part of the issue with the freeze was like, people didn't like that for whatever reason for betting. So my solution was a compromise. Personally, like I like the freeze. It makes matches artificially close, but it is compelling for the viewer, and I think our customer is the viewer more than anything. So I liked pickleball rally scoring with freeze. If we needed to change it to be more betting friendly, the solution was, in my opinion, to be able to score points on return when you're over 20, but instead we just went to full traditional scoring. So does that track?
Yeah, in Australia, we're sticking to rally scoring. Am I correct? Yeah. So as you mentioned, Australia is usually 3 to 4 years behind. So we might transition back over to traditional, but we'll stick to the rally.
You guys are ahead now. You guys are officially back ahead because in the future, this is going to be a rally scoring sport. We took a step back, I think, in that. Now, again, understand it for betting, but the tech stack needs to be able to get with what I think is going to be the future of pickleball, which is the rally scoring.
Technology should definitely evolve. You know, the other thing, mate, and you're going to be at the coalface of this playing these games, is how bloody long is a match in MLP now going to go? Because one thing I like about rally scoring and first to 21 and the freeze, it's quite predictable. If not a close game is probably going to go for an hour regardless. If it's a dream breaker, maybe an hour and a half. With side-out scoring, you could have the first 4 matches, if it goes to 4, going for 2 hours and then have to play a dream breaker. Like, it's going to be a little bit ridiculous maybe for players.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the main part. Like, rally scoring is great because a lopsided match will be 15 minutes at least, right? Takes 15 minutes to score 25 points regardless of how big of a blowout it is. And a close match is going to be 25 minutes. So you've got a 10-minute variation. We don't know what number we're playing to. We don't know if we're playing to 11. We don't know if we're playing to 21. We don't know if we're playing to 15. And we don't know if we're playing... We think we're only playing 1 game each. But that hasn't been clarified by the league. I think 95+% chance that's the case. But we could have problems of matches being way too short or way too long. We just don't know.
Have they proposed a date of when they'll be informing all players?
We usually find out week of.
Okay.
They like to keep us on our toes. And athletes adapt. You know that, Colin. Athletes adapt.
We adapt. Yep, that's what we do.
Can you explain some of the differences with like MLP contracts over there versus maybe here? And I don't expect you to have full knowledge over here, but over here we're pretty basic, I guess you could say. There's an appearance fee that all players get, then they play for prize money. There's some private ownership per se in our league, but it's not to the extent of what private ownership looks like over there. So tell us about the New Jersey Fives. Beyond your contract, what do they do, offer, provide in terms of, do you have a team bus, accommodation sorted, you're flying private? You know, what's the cool shit that you guys get?
Yeah. So I feel like the main thing of being on an MLP team is there are really cool experiences that you can have with some of these team owners. My previous team was the Orlando Squeeze, and they own minor league hockey team here in the States. They own the Orlando Magic and a bunch of other stuff. So we got to go do courtside stuff with the Orlando Magic, which was unbelievable, and do some stuff with the Solar Bears. And then on the other side, with the New Jersey Fives now, one of their most high-profile owner is Gary V. So Gary comes, hangs out, we get dinner with him, like we get to pick the brain of a billionaire genius, like, and who is into pickleball and is like wanting to succeed with this team. So each team has different sort of ancillary benefits. Ryan Harwood, who's our GM, he's in charge of Gallery Media Group, and so he's got a lot of great contacts with a bunch of different companies and getting some sponsors for the team and potentially for players as well is awesome. And the cool part is Ryan is a total foodie, so we always go out to really nice restaurants pretty much each night, and he also likes to stay in nice hotels too. So we get some pretty nice hotels and some pretty nice meals. But that's not the case with every team either. There are other teams that are far more budget conscious as well, where, you know, you're going to get your $400 travel stipend and that's about it. No hotel, no dinners, no team activities, no nothing. So it is very different depending on which team you are on.
We know about accommodations and bunk beds. It's a rough life out there for those amateur pickleball players, but we make it work. Now, you mentioned Gary V.
For the love of the game.
It's the love of the game. Gary V, what would you say you would play with him on the court? I love your segment that you guys have is Rate That DUPR Player. When you see him on the court, what do you reckon his DUPR would be?
Oh, we haven't played with Gary. Gary is on the court, like, just nervous as hell watching us, but we haven't watched Gary. I don't know what Gary's level is. I know Ryan, our GM, he's probably... Previously, he was probably a 4-5, but I know that he's playing a bunch now that he's moved to Miami. So I'm guessing he's over a 5-0 at this point. And he was a great tennis player, too. Still plays good tennis. He played at Penn back in the day. I'd have to guess he's playing 5-0 ball at this point. Blake, our co-GM or assistant GM, or I don't know what Blake is, other than he's just a legend. He's probably playing 4-5-ish ball, 5-0 ball. Him and Ryan have some good rallies.
What's the pressure like now versus the first season of MLP?
Pressure is what you make of it. Like, I honestly feel like the pressure, it's always felt like the biggest stage in pickleball, at least for me. And even though if you look back at it to the first one, yeah, the prize money was like $15K total. It felt like a huge deal, right? The production, everything surrounding it was bigger. And that feels the same, I feel like, all the time. So I think it still feels the same in a way, even though it's gotten bigger and better. The pressure still feels the same. I wanted to win in 2020 and 2020 or in 2021 the same way that I want to win now in 2025.
And let's talk about PWR, because over here in Australia, we very much have the vested interest in PWR. You guys had Pran on your podcast a few weeks ago just to clarify what the hell's going on. So we got Joey Wild, who's a part of it, Danielle Townsend. I saw Danny actually with a backhand flick. She got you a few times in training in Melbourne. I don't want to bring that up because the footage is pretty damning.
Me up, dude. Yeah. Danny's good.
Big time. We got a dozen Aussies, right? And for us Australians, this is a huge opportunity to earn some big dough because paying in US, etc. There was a delay to the January start date of the league. There was a delay to the March start date of the league. You guys had him on. Now they're talking about some date in August that may actually overlap with MLP events in the States. I thought you did a great job at asking all the hard questions, but what's now your honest impressions after speaking with Pran?
My hope from the beginning is I don't go into this like hoping that anybody fails. I think Pran had answers to all of the hard questions that we had. They're just answers that differ from everybody else's. And he followed up with us and mentioned that there were certain payments that were going out 2 weeks after or a week after that podcast. I haven't
just
heard
to cut you off,
anything,
I know that Joey and Danny, I believe, have been paid. So I believe that potentially all outstanding payments have been made, but I can't confirm that for everyone.
Well, that'd be perfect. I asked Pran to keep us updated in that regard because, we came at him hard. And he mentioned that payments were going out. And if they have, it's on us to, I think, provide those facts. So at that time when the podcast went out, it was a very rough spot for them. I hope everybody's been paid. Yeah. And what are my impressions going forward? They still need to prove themselves, right? Even if payments have been made, these players were promised 6 events and millions of dollars of prize money on top of it, right? Like, they signed into exclusive contracts and they still aren't getting any tournaments. Even if they've been paid for one, they're still out a lot of the money that was promised.
I guess that all remains to be seen. It was interesting that part of the delay was in regards to them basically changing the price to buy a team. That increased substantially. And you guys quizzed him on that in the sense that most team owners were happy to front up with even more dough. There was a couple that walked away. But it doesn't mesh well when you've made a promise to pay some players half of what you're going to pay them. You've just charged team owners more and they were happy to pay. So there must be no problem with the money in the bank. Just pay the bloody players. I think that's been the frustration from the players.
I don't know the exact details of it. I've never been owed money by PWR, so I can't say for a fact. All I report on is what I generally hear, and players were very unhappy.
I hope it succeeds too, and it's going to have to be a condensed schedule if they're going to do all these tournaments that they said they would, because I think we've already missed a handful of dates. So if it's going to happen and they're going to get the same amount of tournaments and therefore an opportunity at the same amount of prize money, it's going to have to be squashed into a calendar which is already jam-packed. So I don't think that's going to happen, but God, if they can just bloody do the first event,
get that underway.
That would be good. That would be good. Let's talk about your podcast, the Pickle Pod, the original, the OG. I'm really intrigued. You've got a co-host. We didn't actually invite him. Or actually, should I say, he didn't invite himself. You invited yourself, and we're glad to have you, mate. But day one of your podcast to now, what are the differences?
Quite honestly, like, the podcast works out pretty well because Thomas and the Dink have a media company, and so they're good with the production and whatnot. And the reason I had never started a podcast on my own before that is, and as you should know from our limited discussion before this, like, I don't want to deal with any of the production and whatnot, right? So it worked out really well. Thomas is a great audience and has built a great audience with the Dink. And so we just try to continually improve, and we've been experimenting with a lot of stuff just recently, especially now that Thomas is in New York and I'm still in Austin. I got to find a little bit better of a studio here, but just trying to constantly evolve and generally just try and tell it like it is. I feel like people appreciate that. I've got plenty of biases, but I try to let people know, hey, this is what I think. Here's why. Try to be pretty straightforward in that regard. And I think people have liked it. And honestly, we have fun with it as well. So I'm sure I can't speak to the financials of Slam Jam. I'm sure you guys are doing it at the end of the day because it's a good time, right? And that's the same thing for me. I like chatting pickleball, nerding out a little bit, and talking with cool guests, just like getting to talk with you guys now.
And do you guys have a facility? We always see this content coming from like an indoor pickleball court. Is that a facility that you guys have to host your podcast or just to play games, or is that a private facility that you just use from time to time? What's the go with that?
No, so the place that I play all the time is called The Lab. My buddy Carlos DeLora made it, and he works with GM of the Ranchers, Ryan DeWegian, and then Carolyn, Ryan's girlfriend as well. So they have this facility in Austin. It's biking distance away from my apartment, and they're cool guys. And so we play there, me, Jack Monroe, Deckel, John Sincola. So that doesn't have anything to do with the Dink, but we all play there, film content there, everything.
Yeah, I think I've seen a sign hanging in the background. That's probably why I asked the question.
Lab.
So great branding, if that's the case. Very smart.
Yeah,
A sign in the background of what?
I think I've seen the Dink
podcast.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen the Dink sign in the background.
I don't know. That wouldn't be the Lab though. No. I don't know what you're talking about now, Adam.
He's making stuff up. Now we're going off script, which is what I like. This is where I thrive.
Yeah. Colin's lighting up over there now. He's stoked.
We want to know so I was in Austin recently, in July. We loved it over there. My partner and my family went. And you ask someone, what's the best barbecue place? And they're going to tell you Terry Black's. They're going to tell you Cooper's. They're going to name a whole list. Now, you're local now. What is the best barbecue?
Okay, so I'm so glad that you asked. I went to this new place yesterday. It's called KG Barbecue. It is not traditional barbecue. This guy who created it, it's a food truck. He's from Egypt, and so it is Texas barbecue mixed with Egyptian flavors, and it was fucking awesome. KG Barbecue in Austin. I literally liked it so much, I bought a dope hat. I could go get it and show you guys, but next
Egyptian
time
flavors.
You got to check out KG Barbecue.
Is Egyptian spicy, right? Would it be a little bit of spice?
It wasn't spice. It was just it was different flavorings. So there were some. I didn't get this. I got the brisket shawarma with an Egyptian salad in it, and so it's just very different flavorings. There were ribs that had pomegranate sauce on top of it with actual pomegranates as well. There was pork shoulder with some Egyptian salad on top of it too. Mac and cheese, Egyptian brisket mac and cheese.
Man,
it was just some.
You got to stop. It's 7:45 here, and I'm starting to get hungry.
AM.
7:45 a.m. and I haven't even had breakfast yet.
I'm making myself hungry because it's 5 p.m. here and I want dinner. And yeah, the brisket rice bowl is Mediterranean rice, smoked brisket, baladi salad, tahini, and nuts and pomegranate seeds. It's just crazy. Nobody's ever thought about this before. So 100%, not even close. You got to come to KG Barbecue next time.
All right, that's on my list next time. I had a lot of fun in Austin. You haven't been, have you?
I've never been to Austin. Yeah. I've been to Lake Tahoe, did a snow season, but that's it.
Don't know if that counts, but
it doesn't count. I was trying to figure out how I could be yeah, you know what, Adam, you're on to. No, it just doesn't. It's not even close.
I wonder if I'm the best snowboarder out of all of us. Just quietly. You snowboard?
I snowboard, yeah.
You snowboard, Zane?
Nah.
Well, I got you covered.
All right.
I got a 6 DUPR in snowboarding, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, we just played in that PPA tournament that Joey and George won. They just built 16 brand new courts in Tweed Heads area. It is beautiful. It's Voyager Tennis is the company that started. This is their 3rd purposely built courts and tennis facility, but I believe they have over 18 facilities all over Australia. And it was great mixing it up with the crowd, and our DUPR is on the rise.
Yeah. We
Let's
climbed.
go.
We're only going up. We're not going down, which is good.
Yeah, and those little .076, .068, they all add up. And now I'm in the 4.8, so we're getting there. 5 will be a milestone. Now, when you hit a milestone number, do you celebrate? Do you get the boys around? What should we do?
I don't, but that's not to say that you should.
We will.
Oh, we will.
My DUPR is mostly my DUPR is mostly
weekend
going
away.
down.
Yeah,
What's the celly looking like? What anything sticking out to you? I can help advise, but I can't tell you exactly what to do.
I'm thinking.
Trip to America.
Okay.
Let's do a pickleball excursion. So if we're flying over to America, where do you need us to land, and what's the first 5 days looking like for our pickleball excursion? We want to take it on.
The easiest place to go is at least from from. Where are you guys at? Are you near? Are you in Brisbane? Or are you in Melbourne?
Brisbane, so we can get to LA.
We can do a direct flight to Dallas.
We can get to Dallas. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Dallas. Yeah, I'd say you could do. There's a few different spots like LA. You could do the Southern California area. It's decent touristy stuff as well. There's plenty going on out there. I like Austin. Honestly, I would say come check out Austin. And let's see. There's Denver as well. So from LA, you could easily get over to Denver, get up in the mountains and whatnot. That's a cool spot.
But
I don't know. There's 50 different countries in the U.S. to come explore.
Yeah.
All right. We'll let you know when we get to the 5s, okay? And then we'll create a spreadsheet and we can discuss from there. But we're getting there. We're excited. I was thinking more of just a boys'
Yeah, for that 5-0 number, you got to have a proper celly.
Yeah, until then the next tournament you're back to 4.8 and then it's
Yeah, so what's the biggest thing? What do you guys got to work on to get to that 5, do you think? What's going on? What's your weaknesses?
You know what? We've had the great privilege all this week because Rob Cassidy and Michelle Escobar, they've hung back and we've hit with them every morning this morning.
5 a.m. We've started a 5 a.m. club. And you know how there's a lot of run clubs around the city? We now have a pickleball 5 a.m. club. Yeah. So it's I didn't tell you, I created an Instagram account. We have 0 followers, but we have an account, so no one can take it. Yeah. 5 a.m. pickleball club.
Is that what it's called? 5 a.m. club?
Yeah, I have, yeah. I thought there's so many.
That's pretty cool. I've been part of that in previous lives, but...
You have to. If you got a 9 to 5, Zane, then you have to play at 5 a.m.
Yeah, because at nighttime you come home with the traffic, you get home by 6:30, you got to cook dinner. You got to make the most of those mornings.
But back to your question, Cassidy reckons I got to work on my 4th. He reckons my 4th shot doesn't have enough. That's literally verbatim what he said. I think what he meant
checks out.
When he distilled it down for me is like you need to give your 4th shot like a little something, put some heat on it. Like it's got to be more of a strategic shot to set something up. So. I couldn't take him seriously though, because to be honest, we've been fucking around this whole week.
Yeah.
And then he finally pulled me aside. He goes, "You know what, you guys, you've actually got a little of improvement to make, and then you guys could go to another level." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm listening." And then he talked about the 4th shot, but we got some more practice.
Yeah, me's definitely my backhand dinking to just hit it with a bit of paste on it just to win points. Because right now I'm just getting it over, and then hopefully the other opponents make the mistake, but I'm not hitting it with integrity. And it's a bit awkward for me. I'm not a tennis background guy. I'm gridiron football, and we played AFL together here in Australia, and that's how I met Holly for the Bond Bull Sharks. And so, yeah, the hands and the flick of the wrist, it is a awkward motion for me. So I just use my athleticisms to jump around the court and try to body bag people when I can. But yes, backhand is what I need to work on.
Yeah, gotcha. Adam, back to your point, like on 4th shots. So when you are the returning team, statistically, I think you win, and it depends on skill level, but just generally the returning team is winning about 58% of points. You can think of it as 60-40. And so when you are up at the kitchen first, particularly if you are the person who's there first, not the returner, you want to play like a good portion of the court. You want to play 65, 2/3% of the court, right? Because you're closer to the line. And so I say that the main thing that I see for players, and I can't say like for your game in particular, is you don't take enough risk, right? You think, okay, I'm supposed to win this point because I'm starting up at the kitchen line, but you don't keep the pressure on. You allow the other teams to come into the kitchen because you don't go after the shots enough. So I would say my suspicion is that you don't miss any fourth shots. You're probably keeping all these fourth shots in, but take a little bit more risk. You're not taking enough risk with them, and it's allowing your opponents to get to the kitchen. Once they're at the kitchen, it's a 50-50 ball game. There's no advantage one way or another. So even if you add more misses on your first shot or on your fourth shot, I think that's probably worth it because you're playing a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, growth. We're looking for growth in 2025.
Yeah, that's good feedback. I like that.
I couldn't remember what I actually made. I remember what this video was because I made I think a really funny thumbnail. And it did not get enough views on my YouTube channel, but I photoshopped myself, or I had my editor Photoshop myself as like an enormous person, and it says "Get big at the kitchen," and it's all about like fourth shot strategy and whatnot. I thought it was a great video, but maybe it was too clickbaity. It's called "Kitchen is Closed. Weaponize Your Fourth Shot" on my channel. I think it's a good video, and it's got a hilarious thumbnail too. That one could be so.
This big person body you used, did he have a shirt on or shirt off?
Shirt on. Maybe I should have A/B tested shirt on versus shirt off. You're right.
I'm thinking shirt off and some, what do you call those? Piercings, around the nips.
Ooh, piercings. Okay.
It would catch my attention.
The thumbnail on that one.
Yeah. This is stuff that we could collaborate on in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time to give us a lesson. I appreciate that.
I like that, yeah.
But yeah, Cassidy, I'm going to have to hit him up. He's a funny man. He's been loving all our sayings. We've been teaching him like the colloquial slang of Australia.
That was the first thing that I wanted when I got to Australia. I was asking Danny about it.
He's all over it. And he had a server the other night when him and Michelle went out to dinner. And she said, can I get you anything else? And he thought he'd slip in, I'll have some dead horse. And she gave him nothing. So dead horse is tomato sauce or ketchup, as you guys would call it. So you could get away with saying, I'll have some dead horse, and that means sauce. And like frog and toad, we're gonna hit the road. Let's go. Hit the road. Let's hit the frog and toad. Like he's picking them up. He's loving it. So we've got a few more to teach him. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like some bogan slang terms, and nobody knows that stuff.
Hey, not a lot of Americans know what bogan is. Props to you throwing it in here.
No, that was the first one that I asked. That was the first one. She's like, you can call somebody a bogan, and it's kind of like a redneck type of. Yep. So that was like, I remembered that, and then you guys opened with True Blue. I remembered that one too.
Colin said that. He was really hamming it up for you, actually.
I've been here for cracking on to 14 years now, I think. Yeah. But I just can't lose this authentic American accent. But you pick up the little terms from here to there, and when I go back to the States, I throw it out there, and they're like, "Are you Aussie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I got a passport. What do you reckon?" Yeah, I'm embracing the culture.
Zane, I've got a segment for you. It's something new, so just bear with me here. It's time to step into the twisted universe of Picklers Parchment, Australia's #1 source for completely fake pickleball news, according to themselves. It's satire, it's spicy, and it's run by an unverified journalist named Dink McEnroe, who's been begging us to get someone with credibility to read his work. So today, that burden falls to you. In front of you are 3 headlines. We want you to pick your favourite and give us your most dramatic reading. Think Shakespeare meets Dreambaker energy. If you don't mind, read out just the headline, not the article, because you've got to have to pick which article you want to read after you've read the 3 headlines. So this headline, please.
All right. Masters player with 5 gold medals using mod TA15 insists it doesn't make a difference.
Next headline, please.
It's official. Former tennis player adds .pb to Instagram handle. Denial stage is finally over.
Okay, last one.
Man, good at every racket sport, now facing his toughest opponent. pickleball.
All right, so
I'm
you got
liking the second one with the person coming to terms that they are now a pickleball player and adding .pb to that. I like that one. That one is, I feel like that's been a real struggle with some people.
Okay.
It hits home.
All right, Zane, take it from the top.
All right. Melbourne, Australia. After months of publicly denying his full transition to pickleball, former tennis star Ryan, I'll never play that sport, Davidson, has officially changed his Instagram handle to @RyanDavidson.pb, making the final stage of his reluctant yet inevitable transformation. Davidson, once an outspoken critic of pickleball, spent years belittling the sport as a glorified game of oversized ping pong and swore he'd never be caught dead on a court surrounded by players wielding paddles with neon grips. At first, Davidson played it cool, claiming he was just messing around and that he was still primarily a tennis guy. But his actions told a very different story. He started showing up to open play more often, casually dropping terms like DUPR in conversation, and even inquiring about which paddles had the best spin and control. Then came the real sign. Davidson stopped aggressively correcting people when they called him a pickleball player. Despite the obsession, Davidson still fought the inevitable. Sources report that he spent a full hour scrubbing old anti-pickleball tweets from his ex, formerly Twitter account, which included statements such as, "Pickleball isn't a real sport, changed my mind." He was meticulous, said a close friend who requested anonymity. He even went back and unliked tweets from other tennis purists who bashed pickleball. The final piece of the puzzle came just last night when Davidson made it official. In a move long suspected by the closest to him, he edited his Instagram handle from @RyanDavidson to @RyanDavidsonPB, formally acknowledging his place in the pickleball community. "I'm not sure what happened," said Davidson, appearing visibly exhausted from his internal struggle. "I went to update my bio, and before I knew it, my fingers just typed .pb. I tried to backspace, but my body physically wouldn't let me. It just felt right." Now fully immersed in the world of pickleball, David has begun posting highlight reels of himself executing perfect ATPs, unboxing sponsored gear, and commenting "great hands" under videos of pro players. I can confirm he's been hitting me up on that. His final act of commitment, unfollowing the ATP Tour and subscribing to the PicklePod podcast. Hey, thank you, Davidson. Appreciate that. Honestly, pickleball is way more fun, and let's be real, there's way more money in it now. With his transition complete, Davidson is now reportedly considering launching a YouTube channel dedicated to pickleball strategy breakdowns titled Dinkin' Ain't Easy.
Nice.
There's a lot of who the hell wrote this? That is a lot of.
When you were reading it, I'm going to have to let Dink McEnroe know that was a long one. I think he saved all his best lines for the end, and we had to wait a long hike up the hill to get there.
Do we all know Mr. Davidson? I think
we all know a .pb. Like, how many people do we know who add .pb to their handle once they get gripped by this sport?
So where do we follow Dink McEnroe? Because I'm a fan of his stuff.
Get on to Picklers Parchment, @Picklers Parchment on Instagram and Facebook, and semi-regularly putting up your headlines and articles is Dink McEnroe. And a few newcomers. There's also a columnist named Annette Cord. There's Mike Drop. There's a few people coming to collaborate on Picklers Parchment. So give it a follow for sure.
This is like the Babylon Bee of fake pickleball news. I'm a big fan.
Mate, are you familiar with the Pickle Prince? Yuvi Ruya. Have you met Yuvi? You've heard of. He's Global Sports over in India. There's some hilarious ones about Yuvi. Go have a look at the Yuvi ones because all the internationals. He's a great sport. Yeah. The internationals had an opportunity to be hosted by a pro. Sorry, it was like you come over to Australia and we've got a spare room, so we can host a pro. And it's a bit ironic.
Look at that one right now.
It's a bit ironic for a billionaire to be hosted by a local, but Yuvi did it. And he struggled. He really struggled, the Pickle Prince. Hey, I got one last question. You've got a gun to your head. If the opportunity was right, would you come and play MLP Australia?
Oh, yeah. I think down the road, I've got a contract with MLP PPA here for now, so it wouldn't be realistic, but I would love to. My wife Jenny and I had an incredible time, and we do love to travel and explore. So yeah, I'm in.
Slam Jam might be owning a team in the future.
Someone else's
Oh,
money.
let's go.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how this podcast goes after this episode, but we're looking to be future owners as well. I don't know what an owner gets here in Australia. We still haven't figured that out, but it would be cool to walk into a bar just letting people know, yeah, I own a pickleball team. Yeah, I think that's the only thing we get.
That'd be sick. Best of luck. You guys will have to keep me updated on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're our number one draft pick when the time comes. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to be checking out that barbecue place next time I'm back in Austin for sure.
Yeah, you guys will have to hit me up if you ever come over this way, and I'll definitely hit you guys up when I come back to Australia. So appreciate you guys having me. It was fun chatting with you guys.
Best of luck this season, man.
All right, boys. Hey, thank you very much.
To the top.